There we go.
Call this law enforcement committee meeting to order. Mayor Graham's gonna have a word of prayer for us.
All right, let us pray. Lord, thank you for this day. Thank you for this time together to conduct business for this county. Lord, be with each of us as we study and make decisions in the best interest of our community. These things we ask in your name. Amen. Amen.
Commissioner Anderson, and of course, you know, Commissioner Brown is out. And then, Juvenile Director Smith is not gonna be here with us tonight. First thing on the agenda is the approval of August 17th, 2021 Law Enforcement Committee meeting.
I make that motion.
Second.
Motion and second, all in favor, say
Aye.
Next, we'll get into reports, and the first one is animal control.
I have nothing to add to the report or to change it. However, I would like to thank Mr. Kitchens for helping us coordinate our deployment to Waverly. Myself and two of my officers, we were fortunate to be able to go there and help with search and rescue and administer vaccinations to the animals that were being kept in the shelters there. It was a great opportunity. We appreciate him allowing us to go, as well as the mayor. It was great to take back, especially if we just had a lot of rain here and we, our shelter backs up right to the floodgates. And so we had to move some animals around yesterday. Fortunately, National Humane did step in and they took 13 of our dogs. We had some animals that were standing in water in the back, but all the other animals did great and fine. Everything's going on.
How far did it get up into your facility?
It got, not into the facility, but it got to our back kennels.
Okay.
And we had about 15 animals standing there. But it fluctuated. It was like it would go down and then it was going up. And then I kept watching everybody going up to the top, monitoring it. And I finally just stood out there with an umbrella and I was like, what do I need to do? Do I need to move them in? Do I need to start cleaning out? But I reached out to National Humane and they took 13 of our dogs. So.
Any questions for animal control? Hearing none, we'll have a shared jail workhouse and drug task force report.
Well, as I speak, we're in the first week of our in-service training at the Sheriff's Department. About half our officers will be going this week, and then the other half will be in next week. I think you're in this week, aren't you? And we'll also be doing our firearms training, so if you get any complaints, that's usually typical. Obviously, we've been dealing with a lot of water this past weekend, trying to ride the roads and get the ones that need to be blocked off, let the highway department know. And I know Nikia's been out and about. I have too, but he has even more than I. So it's nice to know that it's starting to go down now. Hopefully it'll continue to. As far as the reports I have, I know you have part of my stuff, so if you have a question, just ask. On the Judicial Drug Task Force, in the month of August, there were 18 investigations. Some of the things that were obviously during that period of time that people were arrested and charged with was crystal meth, ice, which is crystal meth, marijuana, heroin, fentanyl, crack cocaine, cocaine base, 35, I think those controlled prescription medications were seized, one firearm, $2,946 in illegal drug proceeds were seized, and a total of 14 defendants were taken into custody. They being the Judicial Drug Task Force are a little bit down. They are also down one or two, maybe, officers right now, so that's sort of handicapped them, but they're still out there, along with us and the city officers working. In the month of August, the court, as far as on the docket, the court was 1,519, and occupants in the courtrooms during the month of August was 2,120. So it has really picked up. I know Monday, a week ago, I don't think there was a parking place in the parking lot open hardly. It was just about full. So right now, they're going full speed ahead. We're still having our workers go out. We're still in short supply. The bell buckle was asking me about it this morning. I think they didn't get one or something, and if they didn't get one, more Trace did. That causes problems. But anyway, we're trying to get as many out there as we possibly can. So.
Sheriff, we were gonna talk about, the alerts, and I don't know who sent out the alert about the dam letting water out of Normandy, but appreciated that. Do you know where that came from?
We did.
Okay.
You did.
Yeah, clear back.
I just want to tell you, those in Normandy and even my area, really appreciated that, because it affects, especially the creeks around there and how fast they're gonna run off.
It even affected in Middle Town.
Yeah.
Yeah.
On the other alerts, have you been thinking about that? I have.
Well, tell me what you think.
I was thinking that our new EMA person, I'd just like to know if there's anything happening, if a train wreck in Wartrace and, that, I think we owe it to the citizens to know that but somebody is gonna send out an alert to us, just like with this one, so. I don't know what to do from there, I don't wanna.
I see David headed this way.
I don't wanna suggest something that can't be done, but I just want the citizens to be able to be reassured that anything that might affect their safety, because we have that capability with 911, that something go out.
So, with the IPAWs, that's probably something that we can't do with IPAWs like we use for the weather, for the dam. But we are right now looking at some other programs that can be used, and that would be included in that situation. So,
Code Red work for that? But the citizens gotta sign up for Code Red, right?
right, I'll let Phil talk about that.
Yeah, that's one of the things that you take over, rock can, but, Code Red could potentially be used for that. There are some things that are more efficient that are also exploring and enough David's exploring. They're products that I'm familiar with and they've been around for a long time that might be more suited for something like that. I don't know how far he wants to go down that road tonight, but, yeah, there are certainly options out there that would not be such a mass dispersion of information when it may not necessarily need to be, which
Exactly.
is kind of the case that we were in,
Right.
that we were in that incident. in
You just
particular.
drew a circle around who needed to be, and let those people know.
Right.
At one time, we talked about something like that. Well, if you would just continue to look and maybe bring it to courthouse and property, and if we need to purchase something, we'll talk about it.
Okay.
So, we were alerted when, all the AT&T stuff went out, so how was that done? Which system did that?
So that was IPAWS.
Okay.
That was that platform. The problem with it during that incident with the Christmas Day bombing, I think that's what you're referring to,
Right.
was that affected everything AT&T, as many of you probably know. You lost cable or cell phone, so if you had a cell phone that was AT&T, you'd get it. If you just didn't, you might have gotten it. I've got a friend that lives just over the line in Rutherford County, and they get a lot of our iPaws just because they're in the fringe area. And he got one on his phone. It had bottlenecked and then regurgitated about 4 days later after the system came back up. So yes, it was the same
I'm
platform.
glad you read my mind when I said AT&T.
Yeah,
We need to make sure that the information that's going out too is accurate. People are putting on Facebook that Normandy was being evacuated, houses were underwater. I probably got 70 phone calls that night. We were out riding around, making sure
Yeah.
people's cars are out. And the sheriff's department did a great job of blocking the roads and getting the signs up. But we need to make sure that we don't create more chaos.
Sure, and that's the fine line you walk when you send out a mass notification like that, and it's when it's something that goes to everybody, it's gonna be, 30,000 foot
They
information.
take a segment of it, put it on Facebook.
Right.
Well, you know, everything you read on the internet is true. They might want to
Especially-
explain to them just a little about IPAWs and how that's federally regulated and.
Right, I'll let Phil do that too, because he deals with that quite a bit. While he's coming up here, the program we're looking at, like I said, we're in the preliminary stages. But it's something that we can use if we decide to go down that road with, all of our departments, even our schools can be a part of this. So something we're still trying to look at, but we have attempted to attack that, and but stay tuned, more news later, so.
That's all I ask.
Okay, I'll let Philip talk about the
Film at 11. Yeah, so just quickly on IPAWs, it is a federal program. It starts at FEMA and just works its way down. We do have standard operating procedures that are specific to Bedford County. And it's very, very detailed. I don't know how detailed you want me to go into it at this point, but,
I want you to take care
Yeah, there are just, four people in the county who are authorized to send that, to send those notifications. So it's very, and to get approved for that is a lengthy process. It took about a year to get those four approved, and the program approved was Josh at EMA, headed up most of that. He did most all the legwork for that. But yeah, it's very tightly controlled, for obvious reasons. There's been a few glitches in that system, one flaring one out in Hawaii that you might remember a few years ago, when they thought some cruise missiles were headed their direction. That turned out to obviously be just a test, but, yeah, it is a federal program. I think in fact we were one of the first 911 centers to be approved in Tennessee to use it. Unfortunately, we don't have to use it a lot, but it's a good tool to have, but it's have to be very, very careful with it, because it can, like you said, it can sometimes create more chaos and confusion than we're trying to solve. But, like I said, if you have any questions about the intricacies and the granular level of how it works, feel free to just get with me, and happy to walk you through any of that and how the decisions are made and how it's determined on when it's going to be sent out and what qualifies as an event that they will accept for a message to be sent, and all those things. So yeah, happy to talk with any of you guys about that.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Sheriff, I want to thank you and staff, and chief, and all the patrol officers for the great work you've done this week on Memorial, and the fire department, and our safety rescue people. Just excellent work with the high water we've had. And also, Sheriff, thank you for the work. As you know, there's a 12-year-old boy murdered in this town. You were on the spot, and you guys played a big part in apprehending the suspect in there. But when you tell me things, when I hear the drug task force has recovered in the way of crystal meth and drugs, and it's over and over. I know that's not your, that's drug task force. And we recover some funds, and we get this. We're a little frustrated because we kind of know where all this crime is coming from. It's drugs, it's all drug related. And the drug task force is that responsible party. What do we need to do to try to find a way to reduce some of this drug traffic flow that's coming through here? I'm not blaming, I'm just asking, give us a suggestion, because this opioid money's gonna come in here, we've got some options. We gotta do something. It's getting bad with the drug situation. It's been bad.
Well, it is, and it's no worse here than it's bad, but it's no worse than anywhere else. That's all over the United States, all states in the sea. The drug business is like any other business. There's two things involved, demand and supply. And unfortunately, America has a big demand for drugs, and we all know some of the suppliers are. What do we do? Education, of course, we had the DARE program years ago. I think it helped, but it's still, we had drugs. Some of you that remember Mike McGowan, that used to be the Attorney General out of Lincoln County, said that China back in the 1930s had the worst drug problem in the world. 1 out of every 4 Chinese was a heroin or opium addict. And the only way they got rid of it, unfortunately, was after the communists took over, and it was 1 bullet to the back of the head if you were caught selling drugs, buying drugs, in possession of drugs. That took care of the drug habit. But as Mike would say, we're not going to do that in the United States. So, I mean, that's a good question, Greg. I guess there's a lot of people asking that. I mean, you know, to me, and I'm probably the least intelligent person in the room here, but if I know I'm going to take something and I could be addicted for the rest of my life, and knowing what addiction does, I mean, I'm not going to take it. But we've got a lot of people that do, and unfortunately, a lot of young people that do. And
Well, what's so sad is what we've confiscated is nothing. I mean, it's a number, but it has no implication, it doesn't slow them down. And I just wish we had a real concept of how we could do that, or an idea. So be thinking about that. I know you have. Thank you.
One question I have, and I don't know if anybody in here knows, but this lawsuit money that we filed on this lawsuit, if it comes in, and I say if it comes in, how is that allocated, or do we know?
There is-
path?
Well, that's being debated. There is a percent of it, and I don't remember if it was 60-40 or they were throwing around some different numbers, and I didn't read the latest document, but at the mayor's conference, there was discussion about it, and there was gonna be a percent that counties would be able to take into their general accounts and do with it whatever they need to do, understanding that the counties have paid out a lot of money to keep people in jail and have programs and all that. The other percent, whatever it's gonna be of what we get, is there are gonna be stipulations on it. You're gonna have to do recovery programs or things that go back into the community direct to try to make it better, not just the counties get the benefit of taking it in.
Yeah.
It's complicated in how they're trying to figure out what the formula is gonna be, but the real trick or reason to be involved in it the way they're doing it, as opposed to just everybody file lawsuits against them, is they're trying to keep the companies from bankrupting, and then nobody gets any funds to help try to recover in those communities. And so, I mean, that's being done at a higher level than us, but the reason they're encouraging to let the states go at it and see if they could come up with some way that they could work with, because if those companies fold, then there won't be anything recovered really for the counties. And so I don't remember what the percent is, and it's been back and forth the last time I was told, but part of it will be able to come into the general fund, but part of it will have to specifically go to programs in the community.
Any further questions? I think we had a broad span there. EMA report.
He was just
I don't know if he has anything to add.
I don't have anything new to add. I will talk about a couple things. So, emergency management, myself and Tammy did go to Waverly also to assist them during their flooding down there. We assisted them with logistically putting people or signing people in, signing people out for search and rescue. And the first day we helped with volunteers. That was quite a few. You can imagine the number of people that showed up down there. So that's one of the things that's on the sheet that we did. Also, it's not on the sheet. I'll talk a little bit about the flooding that we've had here this this past weekend. One thing I wanted to publicly say is thanks to the fire department, sheriff's department, several police, fire, and everyone, was very helpful. And everything was, for the most part, pretty smooth. We had probably 6 to 8 rescues pertaining to flooding over the last 3 days. And we've had up to as many 20 to 21 roadways that's been closed. And we've been trying to get that information out. I know that that's constantly changing. Everybody that's been involved is, hey, is this one still closed? No, we opened that a long time ago. Okay, take that off the list. 30 minutes later, hey, you need to put that road back on the list because the water's coming. Okay, so that's been ongoing, but I just want to thank all the departments during this time. It was pretty good. We are going down now. We're expecting a little rain tonight. Passing cold front, but I think we're gonna be all right. That's all I have.
Any further questions?
Thank you.
In your package, you do have a juvenile report with Rick Smith is absent tonight. Next will be probation.
Believe it's here.
Yes.
Nothing to add to the report other than, we did pick up quite a bit in August versus July. Courts is back in session. We're getting a lot of new clients.
Any other questions? Linda, I'll put you on the spot on the juvenile detention. Have you touched base with her? I mean, she still, last time we talked to her, I think she still had a full house.
She hasn't.
And I was trying
There
to.
were some released today, but was court yesterday, so I don't know exactly what her count is. I know there's probably 7 or 8 down there. It's not as bad as it was last month. But,
Is that local or is that other cities or different?
it's probably about 60-40, 60% ours. It runs about the same all the time. Got some out of towners, DCS people, and but the first part of, especially that first week of the month, was when a lot of the beds, this month, which is, I know this is about August, but that right before school started for that 2 or 3 weeks, that's where a lot of the 29 bed refusals came in, because there was just no room. And we have to take our kids, no matter what. She left off, I think she left off the credits, but we've gotten, 3 semesters of credit just this week and last week for kids, and we've had 1 child there for 2 months, which is unusual for DCS, but that's the long-termers, is those DCS people, and it's also where we make the most money.
All right, that's all the reports. I need a motion to approve the reports as presented.
So moved.
Second.
Motion second, all in favor?
Aye.
Any old business to come before us? Any new? Any announcements? That's been made. A motion to.
So moved.